Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for those bands that started at one place but ended up somewhere that was creatively different from their origins. Number 10. Goo Goo Dolls. Hey, did you know that the Goo Goo Dolls were actually once signed to a heavy metal record label? That's right. Metal Blade Records released two of the Buffalo band's early efforts during a time when Goo Goo Dolls were a much louder, much heavier proposition. Their self-titled debut from 1987 was even more raw, embodying a punk rock spirit that's all but absent on the band's commercial outings. Granted, the transition from indie noisenicks wasn't immediate, since the Goo Goo Dolls released Superstar Car Wash on Warner Brothers prior to their platinum-selling success. A boy named Goo. Still, the differences in sound here feel like a completely different band. Number 9. Bring Me the Horizon. The term deathcore has meant different things to different people over the years. To some older music fans, it was the bestial mixture of black metal and thrash found within Brazilian bands like Sarcófago. The modern definition of deathcore is far more literal, combining the breakdown-heavy sensibility of metalcore with guttural vocals and extreme intensity. Bring Me the Horizon inhabited a fairly unoriginal yet highly popular corner of this space on their debut album, Count Your Blessings. The desire to experiment with this formula soon bit hard upon the band, however, and future albums would see BMTH abandoning deathcore in favor of a more difficult-to-categorize mishmash. Electronica, hip-hop, metal, and more would all join the party, while deathcore made a quiet exit. Number 8. Journey. The 1970s were a halcyon decade for jazz fusion, with all sorts of talented musicians testing the limits of this musical space. One of those bands was Journey, which in those days was fronted by keyboardist Greg Raleigh. The band's sound here sort of makes sense given guitarist Neil Sean's pedigree alongside Carlos Santana, but to compare Journey's first couple of albums to the work they did with singer Steve Perry is quite interesting. The focus on Journey's debut trinity of albums is on guitar playing, keyboard runs, and powerful dynamic drumming. The vocals are almost an afterthought as the songs wind their way around lengthy instrumental sections. They're honestly pretty awesome, but yeah, Journey sounds completely different here, for sure. Number 7. Pantera. This idea of Pantera as a hair metal band doesn't really seem so far-fetched, given the Abbott brothers' well-known love of Kiss and Van Halen. Still, the band's legacy as one of the heaviest bands in the land made the availability of their 80s period reside primarily within the worlds of gray market releases and bootlegs. This is a shame, too, because Pantera's debut LP with vocalist Phil Anselmo, Power Metal, rocks from first note to last. Meanwhile, the band's 3 albums with former singer Terry Glaze also have their fair share of guitar hero rippers, including I Am the Night and Taking My Life. We'll say it with pride right here and now. Justice for Pantera's glam days. Number 6. Beastie Boys. Sure, they weren't a rock band for very long, but the uncompromising spirit of punk never really strayed too far away from what the Beastie Boys achieved over the course of their career. It's the Pollywog Stew EP that serves as the main recorded legacy from the Beasties' days as a hardcore band, however. A short and furious slice of wax from the early years. The Beastie Boys would eventually transition into a sort of hip-hop rock crossover before firmly embracing a new and exciting career path. But not before actually revisiting this punk rock era with a 1995 EP titled Aglio e Olio. This latter release served as a nice way of connecting the Beastie Boys' past with their present. Number 5. Metallica. The 90s weren't exactly friendly to the commercial profile of heavy metal. The lion's share of the old guard seemed desperately trying to streamline their sounds, while most of the most extreme stuff burrowed its way deeper underground. Metallica remained the biggest metal band in the world throughout this time, but, well, mistakes were made. The Load and Reload album saw Metallica cutting their hair and writing more rock songs than anthems of speed or thrash metal. Meanwhile, Saint Anger from 2003 was even worse. An ill-advised musical experiment without guitar solos that also featured quite possibly the worst-sounding snare drum sound in the history of recorded music. Metallica eventually righted the ship, but these albums certainly sunk the dreams of many fans. Number 4. Radiohead. These proudly progressive indie mavericks are almost certainly happy to be rid of the post-grunge identity that was largely given to them by critics back in the day. Radiohead emerged with a certified hit on MTV with Creep, a song taken from their debut album, Pablo Honey.
But I'm a creep.
The band never felt quite comfortable being commercial darlings, of course, and soon expanded their songwriting with the epic, critically acclaimed LP, OK Computer. But Radiohead weren't done. Future LPs like Hail to the Thief, In Rainbows, and Kid A were becoming even more uncategorizable, as Radiohead bid a not-so-fond farewell to the pop star life.
I'd be crazy not to follow.
Number 3. Bee Gees.
You can't tell by the way I use my walk. I'm a woman's man, no time to talk.
They may have been synonymous with Saturday Night Fever and the disco nightlife scene, but the Bee Gees actually possess a long and interesting recorded history.
Every Christian lie and prophecy will show you.
Their early LPs are very much cut from the pop, psych, and baroque movements that were emerging during the 1960s, with the Bee Gees actually releasing a dozen albums before the words funky, night, or fever would enter their cultural lexicon.
You don't know what it's like. Baby, you don't know.
Of these, it's the period between 1967 and 1969 that's probably of the most interest to prog and psych rock historians, since it's here where the Bee Gees do the most experimentation. Albums like Idea, Burst, and Horizontal remain quite interesting talking points when it comes to the Bee Gees' lengthy discography.
Tomorrow, where in the world will I be? Tomorrow.
Number 2. Fleetwood Mac. Never underestimate the power of injecting some new, fresh, creative blood into a band. Fleetwood Mac were no strangers to writing, recording, or touring prior to joining up with Lindsey Buckingham and Stevie Nicks. They enjoyed plenty of cult fame with their hard-edged and psychedelically fueled brand of British blues rock. Talented members like Peter Green, Jeremy Spencer, Bob Welch, and Danny Kirkwan all spent time in Mac during this time and created some true musical magic. It would be Mac's collaboration with Buckingham and Nicks, however, that would result in a new Fleetwood Mac, one that embraced commercial pop songwriting right alongside their heavy blues roots. And the rest, as they say, is rumors. We mean history.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications.
Number 1. The Beatles.
I need somebody help, not just anybody help. You know I need someone.
Some bands love to play it safe, refusing to break things that aren't broken. Still, others, such as the Beatles, grow restless with the pop charts and desire to play around in the recording studio. This desire to push their music ever forward essentially meant that the short and simple love songs of their youth were out.
Strawberry fields, nothing is real.
Long and winding roads of tape loops, sound effects, odd chords, and introspective songwriting were in. Beatles fans thankfully followed along, eager to hear what their idols would come up with next. Meanwhile, these lads from Liverpool wound up not only making themselves happy, but they almost single-handedly helped shift market focus away from 45 RPM singles and into the LP album as an art.
Woke up, fell out of bed, dragged a comb across my head.
Do you celebrate your favorite band's entire discography? Or do you pick and choose where to drop off? Does an artist's whole career matter? Let us know in the comments.